Good afternoon, students. So today we will continue with what we saw till yesterday. So we are seeing about the SNMP models that we have. So first model that we saw was your organizational model, and second model that we are looking into is your information model. In organization model, we saw the two-tier architecture model and three-tier architectural model. So next in the information model, we were looking about how to name the object and which syntax it follows. So it follows the ASN1 syntax and how the data is encoded. So till that we saw. So next one will be continuing your information model. So what we will see today is how they are written. Like I say, as I told you, you have to write the syntax for every object that you have. So every object in the sense all the devices and the all the components that you have in your network. So every object will have a you will have to follow the naming rule. Okay, that is you should have a descriptor and you should have an object identifier. Then you will have to follow the syntax and you will have an object identifier which is unique for all the objects. So last class I was telling you about the macros, right? So this is how we write a macro. So this is my object, okay, system descriptor. Um, okay, this is my object system descript. This is my object name, system descriptor, and object ID is system1. So the syntax that it follows is octal string. Okay, and it is giving just a definition what this object will do. And the access modifier of this object is read only, and the status it is mandatory. So this is how we can use a macro which can be applied to a object. So likewise, this is just an example that we saw yesterday. So object type is the name of your macro followed by the keyword macro. Every macro will have a begin and end which mark the beginning and end of the macro, and these are the mandatory fields that we have inside a macro. So the type of notation it will follow your ASN syntax. So access it can be read only, read write only, not accessible, and then about the status it can be mandatory, optional or absolute. So this is just a small macro. So this macro can be applied to your object system descriptor. So that is what I gave it in the previous slide. So it is using a syntax. So as I told you, it is using octet string, right? So this system descriptor is using the octet string. So the size of the octet string that we specify, it should be from 0 to 255. So the access is read only, status is mandatory, and this is a description about what this object will do. And this system1 is nothing but the object identifier. So system1 is the object identifier for system descriptor. Like we have the object identifier for internet. For internet, the object identifier is 1.3.6.1. So likewise, here the object identifier for system descriptor object is system1. So this is a aggregator, that is a grouping of objects. So if the previous class, if you could remember, the IP address table, we took it as your managed object where the objects are grouped. Okay, it used the sequence of data type that we have in ASN. So address table, IP address table will contain group of IP addresses where every IP address follows a sequence, and IP address table follows sequence of, because it is going to hold group of IP addresses into a table. So this is my object name, IP address table. So this object type is nothing but the macro that I have defined here. So this is my object type is the macro name. So that macro I am applying for my object IP address table. So the syntax that we use. So here you can see this macro will define the syntax, access and status. So these three things you have to specify. The syntax that this IP address table object will follow is sequence of. So sequence of means it is group of something. So which kind of grouping it is going to follow? So it is going to follow the IP address entry object. This IP address entry object is nothing but sequence. Okay, every IP address in your system will follow this object. So if this is following a sequence syntax. So when I group all the IP address, it becomes a sequence of. So this IP address table will follow the sequence of data type. So next, access, it is not accessible, it should be mandatory. And description, it gives the description about this object. And the object identifier for this IP address table is IP20. Okay, so this is an identifier that uniquely identifies this object IP address table. So this object type macro, which is already available, can be applied to a single object or it can be applied to a aggregate object. That is aggregation grouping of managed object. And this is the same example followed by. So here, if it is following the sequence of, okay, if it is following the sequence of data type, then we just specify which sequence it is following. So instead, we are just specifying sequence alone. Okay, here we are specifying sequence of as the syntax, and here we are specifying the syntax to be the sequence as it is. So this sequence, what it contains, that you are supposed to give it here. If you just specify sequence of, it will just follow whatever sequence you have given here. So IP address entry is following your sequence data type. So if you don't specify that, if you just specify the object alone, okay, which data type it is following. So then you will have to specify what that contains. So this IP address entry will follow a sequence. So these are the different values that you have. So if you could remember, IP address is a data type, application specific data type that we saw yesterday. Integer is a what is that? General or basic data type. IP address is again application specific data type. This is an integer data type which is basic. This is integer with a subtype. So if you specify the range of the integer, then it becomes a subtype of integer data type. So the remaining things is same. Access, it is not accessible. Status, it is mandatory. And description, it just gives a description about your object. So this sequence, if you don't specify the sequence of, then you'll have to specify what sequence it follows. So this is example, same example it is repeating. So next one is tabular representation of the aggregate object. As I told you, aggregate means it is grouping of. So you can have more number of objects grouped together into one single object. So the example that we are seeing as of now is your IP address table. So IP address table is a aggregate object which contains all the IP addresses of that particular network, where every IP address is a object. So for example, I can simply say that in Java we have the classes and objects, right? So your class third year CSE is a class, okay, where individual students are object of the class. So here we don't say it as class, instead we say it as aggregate object because that itself is an object. So aggregate object is itself an object. So we cannot call it like a class how we call it in Java. So you have a grouping of objects. So those grouped objects are further called as a object as it is. So here you will have a table. Okay, so each table will have entry. Every entry will have particular columns. So here we are having 5 columns. It may not be always 5. It can be any number of columns. Suppose this is for one single object. Suppose if you are having 5 objects, then you will have 5 rows. Okay, each row specify first one single object, or I can say this is assume these columns as the mark of the student. So this is subject 1 mark, subject 2 mark, subject 3, subject 4, subject 5. So every row will specify the students marked in 5 different subjects. So likewise, every row that you have in this table entry will specify the particular object. So it is not like a column wise. It is like a row wise. So every row will specify what are the values or properties that particular object has got. So this is a tabular way of representing your aggregate object. So here you have So here we saw only one single instance, right? So here if you have more number of instances, so this is your table, so this is your entry point to the entry to the table, and these are the different objects that we have. So this first row specifies first object, second row specifies second object, third row, fourth row, and so on. So this is a tabular representation of your aggregate object. So same thing, whatever we saw in the IP address, same story. So this IP address is following a sequence of, so which is nothing but IP address entry. So every IP address entry contains these many number of parameters. So this is how you represent your column value. So this internet will have a value 1.3.6.1, right? So that is the object identifier of internet MIB. So next you have this management whose value is 2 MIB. These values are given by IANA, Internet Assigned Numbers Authority. Okay, though they are responsible for giving the numbers for these what to say objects. So these are given so that they don't overlap or they don't have a duplication. Okay, so with this, you can like a row or a column wise, you can specify the aggregate object. So next one is SMI and MIB that we will look on. So here the SMI is your structure of management information. So this is a macro. This macro defined for your SMI. So here you are exporting all the parameters that you have. So SMI will follow the standard 16 and RFC 1155. So this is what is given in particular RFC. So all the objects that we have seen as of now, internet is an object, directory is an object, management is an object, IP address, counter. So these are different objects, or I can call them as data types that we have. So these are available in your SMI. So I'm just importing. So it is just like a package. So in Java we have package, right? Where we have different methods that are available in the package. So you just import them. So if you are a user, if you are importing the package, then at the package end, it is just exporting, right? You are importing something from the package. So for the package, it is exporting all the classes and methods that it has got. So this SMI is exporting all the data types that it has got. So it has got internet management, directory, experimental, private, enterprise. These are the these are called as the data type, or you can call them as objects. So every object has got its own object identifier, and this object identifier is given by IANA, Internet Assigned Number Authority. So that authority is responsible for providing all these values. So private one, internet two, all those things. So next one is same macro that we saw for the object type. So it is having a begin and end. It is having a syntax, access, and status. So access can be read only, write only, and so on. Status is mandatory, optional, or so. Now this we will apply to the SMI. So here the object name is object identifier. So every object will have name and description. Okay, so the description will uniquely identify what that object is, and name it is identified by the object identifier. So next, to specify the object syntax, we are using a choice data type. So choice means it can be either one. It is like your or. You have logical, or it is just like your choice is just like your logical or. Either one needs to be done, this or that, it cannot be the both. So your object syntax, it can be either a simple data type, or it can be an application specific data type. So simple is like your integer, octal, string, null, object identifier. So application specific data type, it is your IP address. If you could recollect yesterday's class, opaque, then gauge, then we had a counter, those things. So the syntax that this object will follow, it can be either simple or application. So what this simple will be, that you will have to specify. So the simple will have either integer, octal, number, object identifier, or null. If it is application specific, so what that will contain. So everything is choice. Choice means any one only will be applicable. I hope you can correlate what I am saying. Every object will have a name and will follow the syntax. So name is just given by the object identifier. So the syntax that it follows will be either simple or it will be application specific syntax. Sorry, application specific data type. So if it is simple syntax, what can be the values of the simple data type? Then it can be number, it can be octet string, it can be object identifier, or it can be null. If it is application, okay, if it is application specific, then it can be network address, counter, gauge, time ticks, opaque. These are the different data types that we saw yesterday, application specific data type. So every object will have a name and it will follow a syntax. So that syntax can be either a simple or it can be application specific. So you also have the construct data type, which is your sequence and sequence of. So a particular data or a particular object can be in sequence or it can be a sequence of, that is grouping of. So they have given only simple data structure and sorry, data type and application specific data type. So this simple syntax, application syntax is what the name we give. Okay. So for network address, okay, so this network address we have, right? So this network address can be IP address or it can be a counter or it can be a gauge, it can be time ticks or it can be opaque. Okay, so this is what we have seen. As I told you, the maximum value of these data type will be 2 to the power of 32 minus 1. So 2 to the power of 32 minus 1 is nothing but 429,496,7,295. So that is what is the value here. So that is why it is 0 to 429,496,7,295. This is nothing but 2 to the power of 32 minus 1. So this counter will automatically increment by 1 every time. It starts with 0. When it reaches 2 to the power of 32 minus 1, it will reinitialize itself to 0. So counter can be used in situations where you need to count the number of incoming packets or outgoing packets that you have. Gauge is similar to your counter, but it will either increment or decrement. Counter will always not decrement. Gauge will either increase or decrease. So for example, the number of devices that are connected to a router or the number of devices that are connected to a hub, they can change, right? So at a point you can have 5 devices, then you can have 4, then you can have 10, anything. So it will increase or it will decrease. So the maximum value will be 2 to the power of 32 minus 1. So as I told you, time ticks, it will follow 1 by 100th time seconds. So opaque, it will use the already available simple data types. So this is about the SMI, structure of management information, and next one is MIB. So in MIB, what we do was, this is the thing that we have already seen, right? Internet is an object. Okay, internet MIB is an object whose value is 1.3.6.1. So internet has got 4 different objects: directory, management, experimental, and private. So now what they have done is they have introduced MIB2. Okay, so MIB2 is a superset of MIB1. So it will contain all the facilities. Like how we have Java version 7, then Java version 8, then Java version 9. It is just upgrading, right? So likewise for MIP, this is just part 2, where it is a subset. So whatever it is, see if you are having Java 8, whatever functions that we had in Java 7, that can be executed in Java 8. But the reverse is not done. So whatever you have in Java 8, you cannot run it on Java 7. So to give you a simple example, whenever you have an interface in Java, okay, the interface methods of Java are by default abstract. As, as till Java version 7, all the methods that are inside an interface are abstract. That is, you cannot give implementation of the method inside the interface itself. You will have to inherit inside a class. But in Java 8 version, you can give the implementation of an interface method by declaring the interface method as static. So this is a advanced thing. So but that is cannot be done in Java version 7. So likewise, MIB2 is a subset, or you can call it as a superset. So it is having all the features that are available in MIB1, and in addition with MIB2. So what we do with MIB2 is we have these 11 to call as modules that are implemented in addition with what you have in MIB1. So the modules are nothing but system interfaces at IP, ICMP, TCP, UDP, EQP, CMOD, transmission, SNMP. So these 11 modules are added in addition with whatever modules that you have in MIB1. So MIB2 is a superset of MIB1. It contains all the features that are available in MIB1 plus the added versions, added modules in MIB2. So these modules definitions are given in RFC 1213. So RFC is request for comments. It is just like a documentation which gives you all the necessary details. So these modules will further have many sub modules. So for example, this system. Okay, so this is your first module, right? System, first module. So this system module will further have many modules that are system descriptor that we were seeing till now. So next, system object ID, system uptime. So this system uptime we saw, I think, 2 days back. System uptime is nothing but the amount of time your system is keep on running without any fault. So if you for one system we had 286 days. For another hub we had the system uptime as I think 36 something. So the system up, then system contact, system name, system location, system service. This system group is specific to the vendor. Okay, vendor are nothing but the person who manufactured this particular device. So this system specific data are given by the vendor and they are read only. They cannot be changed. So this is about your system. So next you have interfaces. Okay, for system services, they have just given the object type macro that is applied. Same thing. So syntax, it is integer, access, it is read-only, status, it is mandatory. You have a description what this object will do, and system 7 is the object identifier of this object system services. So system descriptor, the object identifier is 1. System descriptor, the object identifier is 1. So what we saw here is system services. So system services, the object identifier is 7. So I'm just repeating, these identifiers are given by IANA, Internet Assigned Numbers Authority. So next one is interface. So first we saw was the system, second is the interface. So interface has got further entries into it. So this can be if index, if description, if type. I think this is just self-explanatory. You can just go through all the sub modules that you have. So next one is if entry. I have to repeat the same thing. So syntax that it follows is if entry. Access is not accessible. Status is mandatory. And this is your object identifier if table 1. So you can just go through. This is for your IP group. So first group that we saw is system. Second one is interface. Then you have at. Then you have IP. For every module, you will be having sub modules. So this IP address translation table. So next ICMP, next TCP you will have for UDP and so on. So this is what is regarding with your information model. So information model I have covered for the last 3 days. So in information model, I'll just quickly go through what we saw in information model. So information model, we were seeing about how to name the object and how to give the syntax for the object. So this is your information model starting. So every system information model, you will have to name the object. So how you will name the object? Every object will have the type and instance. So we are dealing only with the type of the object. So you will have name, you will have syntax, and you will have encoding. So how to name the object? So that we saw first. So this is how you name it. So every object will have a descriptor and object identifier. So these are uniquely given. So your IP address table is the object. Its value is, that is your object identifier is IP20. So this is your descriptor. Descriptor is nothing but name that you give for your object. So next we saw about data types that are available in ASN. So we saw simple, defined, and constructor. So simple we have integer, octet string, object identifier, and then null. In application specific, we have network address, IP address, and then counter, gauge, opaque, all those things. In constructor or structure, we have sequence and sequence of. So these classes are used in your encoding. So every class will have a specific value that we will substitute when it is when you do the encoding of your data. So we saw all these uh, things, and then we saw about the encoding. So in encoding, we have TLV, tag length value, or you can call it as type length value. So every type will have class, PC, and tag number. So depending on the class, you will have the values. If it is universal, it is 00. Then if it is just a minute. Yeah, if it is universal, it is 00. Application, it is 01. Contact specific, it is 10, and private, it is 11. So those bit will uniquely identify the class in which you are specifying the object. So next one is PC. If you are using a primitive data type, that is basic data type, P value is 0. If you are using a construct data type, then the value is 1. So next, every object identifier will have a tag. This is what I told you that I missed this slide yesterday. So every object type that we have will have a tag. So if you are using the every data type will have a tag. So if you're using object identifier, the tag value is 6. If you're using sequence, the tag value is 16. So these values have to be converted into binary, and that will be the first 5 bits. So next length will tell you how many bytes you have. So the number of bytes, that is how many 8 bits you have. Next value is nothing but the particular value that you are going to encode. So this value should always be given in binary. So this is what we saw. So next we saw about the macros that we have in aggregate macro and all those things. So with this, we complete information model. So I'll just show you the syllabus that we have covered so far. So this is your syllabus for fourth unit. In fourth unit, we have seen what is managed networks. SNMP version 1 we are looking on. So we saw what are the managed networks. That is what is a manager, what is an agent, how they communicate. They communicate with 5 messages. Okay, that so those things we saw. Then in SNMP models of version 1, you have only organization model and information model. For SNMP version 2, you have communication model and functional model. So this I will cover later. So now I will cover what are the major differences that you have in version 2 when compared to version 1. So after that, the next classes we will be seeing again the SMI and MIB of version 2. So whatever SMI and MIB that I told you today, it belongs to version 1. So next we'll have to see those things for version 2. So next you have these things to be covered. So for version 1 in SNMP model you have only 2 models, but in your book you will have communication model also. But communication model is covered for version 2. So don't study that. So till this till this information model, it is available in chapter 4 of Mani Subramanian, Telecommunication Network Management by Mani Subramanian. So this is your book, first book. So this book is covering the chapter 4, the first few topics of your fourth unit. So next, this SNMP version 2 that you have, this is covered in chapter 6. Okay, SNMP version 2 is covered in chapter 6. So now we will see what are the major changes that we have in SNMP version 2. So I have 10 minutes. I'll just quickly cover that. So this is about the SNMP version 2. So first we had SNMP version 1. So before it was named version 2, it was just called as SNMP. So why we had version 2 is the main aim of having a version 2 of SNMP was to improve the security features of SNMP. but that was not done in version 2, but the security features were enhanced in version 3 of the SNMP. So that will be the last part of your fourth unit. Version 3 you will be studying. First in version 1, they didn't give a much that is much thing on the security features. So because of some internal problems, they couldn't implement the security feature in version 2 also. But leaving out the security features, they added more things that can be done in version 2 when compared to version 1. So these are given in your RFC 1157, 1155, 1112, and so on. So the compatibility between these things is given as a separate RFC. As I told you, whatever you have in Java version 8 can be done in Java version 7. But Java version 7 can be done in 8, but whatever you have in 8 that cannot be done in 7. So for that compatibility, they have a separate RFC. So which can be done in which version and so on. So these are the major changes that we have in SNMP. So as I told you, SNMP, it was to improve the security feature, but that was not done. Then it was done in SNMP version 3. So this RFC 1908 will give you the coexistence of the two versions. That is compatibility. So these are the additional features that we have in SNMP version 2. So first one is bulk data transfer. So whatever we did in SNMP version 1, we had one single request being given, and you can have more number of responses coming. That is, I can give send request, or I can give it as send multiple request. Bulk data transfer is nothing but you can have more number of data to be read. For example, if you are reading a file as it is, when compared to a WhatsApp message, normal WhatsApp text message, reading a file as it is, it's a bulk data. So in order to do bulk data transfer, that was done in version 2 by using the message get bulk message. Okay, get bulk message. Remember the five messages that I told you in SNMP version 1, trap, all those things. So this get bulk data was the message that was introduced in SNMP version 2. So second thing is it allowed manager to manager communication. So as I told you, you can have multiple managers in SNMP. So a manager to manager communication is possible in version 2 of SNMP. So next we have SMI for version 2 also. Then what is the difference in SMI version 1 and SMI of version 2? So what they have done is, um, so these are described in your RFC. Okay, so these RFC will define what is done in the particular SMI. So next one is SMI version 2. So SMI version 2 is divided into three parts. One is module definition, next is object definition, and then trap definition. So we have been seeing only module definition and object definition as part of macros in SNMP version 1. Okay, module and object definition only we saw. For module, we use that macro module identity. So these trap definition is new in SNMP version 2. So for doing this for doing this module definition, you will use the module identity macro. For object definition, you use the object macro. And for trap definition, we will use the notification type macro that is available in ASM. So these are additional things that you have in version 2. The next one is textual convention. So it will help you to have a new kind of data type, but you cannot have it like a new version of what is available. So you can just upgrade what you have. For example, to be more easy for you to understand, we had like integer, right? So integer allowed you to have within a range. So if you are allowing to have within a range, or you are allowing to have it as a fixed, your octal string, if you could remember, I told that it will have a fixed value, or it will have a optional value, or it will be without the range value. So these things, if you could improve in integer data type also, then it becomes a upgradation. So next is conformance. So conformance means if a vendor is producing a product, or if assume that your Cisco is designing a hub which will work in SNMP version 1. Now they will have to work on such that it works with the SNMP version 2 also. That is what is your conformance. So it is for the vendors to know what are the specifications that we need to change so that it is working with both the versions of SNMP. That is your conformance. So next one is table enhancement. So this is a table that we saw already, right? For internet, we have directory management, experimental, private. You can also have a additional columns or additional parameters that can be given for your table. So you can also group different tables into one single table. You can also have aggregation of the table. Next one is MIB. So in MIB, we had the feature of security that can be done. So this, how it does is with the help of UDP. Okay, it doesn't follow the TCP/IP. It follows the UDP protocol to transfer your data. So these are the different highlights that we have in version 2, or you can say the major difference between version 1 and version 2. So that's all for today. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. So if you don't have any doubts, then you can leave.